Good afternoon, folks. Major pattern change coming for the eastern United States, Arctic air, multiple storm systems, significant snow potential from the Carolinas through New England. This is the most active winter pattern we've seen so far this season. This video runs 15 minutes. I'll start with the Synoptic setup. That is the large-scale pattern driving everything. Then we'll dive into individual storm systems, the 15th, 16th, 18th, 19th. Finally, region-by-region breakdown with specific impacts for your area. Let me start with where we are right now. Friday afternoon, January 10th. Temperatures running 20 to 30 degrees above normal across the east. Rain and thunderstorms from the Gulf Coast through the Carolinas. This warm, humid air mass extends all the way to the Canadian border. That changes this weekend. The National Weather Service upper air analysis from this morning shows a massive ridge building over the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada. This ridge is forecast to amplify. That means it's getting stronger, not weaker. When you get a strong ridge in the west, basic physics tells you what happens next. The jet stream buckles. It digs southward somewhere else. In this case, that somewhere else is the eastern United States. We call this a negative NAO, positive PNA combination. Negative North Atlantic oscillation means high pressure near Greenland. Positive Pacific North American pattern means that western ridge I just mentioned. Together, these create a pathway for Arctic air to spill out of Canada and into the lower 48. This isn't theoretical. The 12Z run this morning, that's the noon Greenwich Mean Time model run, shows 500 millibar heights collapsing over the eastern United States by Tuesday. For those of you who follow these things closely, we're looking at heights dropping from 5,600 meters down to 5,200 meters in just 72 hours. That's a significant drop. That represents very cold air aloft. At the surface, high pressure builds over central Canada, 990 millibars, possibly higher. This high is going to be the engine driving Arctic air southward. Every time it pulses, we get another shot of cold air. Now let's talk about moisture. Sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico are running near normal for January, about 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's plenty warm enough to generate moisture when you get a southerly flow, and that's exactly what we're going to see when these storm systems develop. The pattern sets up like this. Cold air in place over the eastern United States. Storm systems try to develop along the boundary between that cold air and the warmer air to the south. Some of these systems track inland. Those give you snow for the interior southeast, the Carolinas, the Appalachians. Some track along the coast. Those are your classic nor'easters affecting the mid-Atlantic and New England. Let me walk through what the models show, system by system. First system, Tuesday, January 14th into Wednesday, January 15th. The GFS model has been consistent on this for 3 days now. Low pressure develops over the western Gulf of Mexico Monday night, moves eastward along the Gulf Coast, reaches the Florida Panhandle by Tuesday evening, then turns northeastward. The latest GFS run shows this tracking through Georgia and South Carolina Wednesday morning. Snow develops on the northern and western side of the low. The model shows significant accumulations for the southern Appalachians. We're talking about the mountains of North Carolina, far southwestern Virginia, eastern Tennessee. Snowfall totals on the GFS range from 6 to 12 inches for the highest elevations, 4 to 8 inches for the Piedmont of North Carolina, tapering off to an inch or two in the coastal plain. The European model has this system further offshore. It develops the low pressure in the same general area, but the track is about 100 miles further east. This keeps the heavy snow confined to the mountains. Coastal areas see mostly rain with this solution. Which model is right? Hard to say at this range, but I can tell you the trend. Over the last 48 hours, the GFS has been ticking slightly northwest with each run. The European has been fairly consistent. When you see one model trending toward another, that often tells you something. My lean right now is that the European is probably closer to reality. This first system likely stays offshore enough that the big cities don't see much, but the mountains could get hit hard. If you're in Asheville, Boone, anywhere in the higher elevations of western North Carolina, this one's worth watching closely. Second system, Saturday, January 18th into Sunday, January 19th. This is where both models show strong agreement, and when the European and GFS agree 6 days out, you pay attention. Low pressure develops over the Tennessee Valley Friday night. Moves eastward toward the Carolina coast Saturday morning. Then, and this is the key part, it bombs out as it moves up the coast. Bombing out is meteorological terminology for rapid intensification, specifically a pressure drop of 24 millibars in 24 hours. Both models show this system dropping from 1,004 millibars to 980 millibars, some runs even into the 970s, as it moves from Cape Hatteras to Cape Cod. That's a powerful storm. The track on most model runs takes this right along the I-95 corridor. Washington, D.C. sees the snow start Saturday evening. Baltimore a couple hours later, Philadelphia by midnight, New York City early Sunday morning, Boston by Sunday afternoon. Wind is going to be a major factor with this one. The pressure gradient, that's the difference in pressure over distance, is very tight. That means strong winds. The NAM model, which is our high-resolution short-range model, shows sustained winds of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Gusts to 60 along the coast. When you combine heavy snow with winds that strong, you get blizzard conditions. Visibility drops to near zero. Drifting becomes extreme. Even moderate snowfall totals become much more dangerous because of the wind. Snowfall totals for this system. The models show a sharp gradient. That means big differences over short distances. The rain-snow line sets up somewhere near the Virginia-North Carolina border. South of that line, mostly rain. North of it, heavy snow. For the I-95 corridor from DC to Boston, most model runs show 8 to 16 inches. Some runs higher, especially for interior locations. The NAM model has a bullseye of 20 inches for parts of central Pennsylvania and southern New York State. Could that verify? Absolutely. But remember, a shift in track of just 50 miles changes everything. If this track's 50 miles further west, the rain-snow line moves north. Philadelphia might see rain instead of snow. If it tracks 50 miles further east, everyone gets heavier amounts. That's why I'm not giving you a single number forecast. We're still 6 days out. What I'm telling you is there's high confidence in a major coastal storm, medium confidence in the exact track, and the track determines who gets what. After this system, we don't get a break. The pattern stays active. The extended GFS, that's the run that goes out to 16 days, shows another storm around January 22nd, then another around January 25th. The European extended forecast, which goes to 10 days, shows the same general pattern. This is what a sustained winter pattern looks like. You get these waves of energy moving through the jet stream. Each one is a potential storm system. Some develop into major events, some fizzle out. But when you have cold air locked in place like this, you get repeated opportunities for snow. Let's talk about temperatures. The GFS ensemble mean, that's the average of all the ensemble members, shows temperatures running 10 to 20 degrees below normal from January 15th through January 30th. For context, normal highs in Washington, D.C. this time of year are in the low 40s. We're looking at highs in the 20s and low 30s. Boston, normal highs around mid-30s. We're looking at highs in the teens and low 20s. At night, temperatures drop even more. The NAM model shows overnight lows in the single digits for much of the interior Northeast by the 20th and 21st, some locations below zero. Wind chill becomes a factor. When you have winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour and temperatures in the teens, wind chills drop below zero. That's dangerous for anyone who has to be outside for extended periods. Now, regional breakdown. I'm going to go through 6 zones. When I get to your area, that's the information you need to focus on. Zone 1, the Deep South. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, southern Georgia, Florida. You're on the warm side of these systems. The 14th, 15th system brings rain and thunderstorms. Some of these storms could be strong. The Storm Prediction Center hasn't issued an outlook yet, but the ingredients are there for severe weather. Instability, sheer moisture. Watch for an update from them early next week. After that system passes, temperatures drop, but you're not seeing snow. Maybe a brief shot of cold air Wednesday into Thursday, then temperatures moderate again by the weekend. Your main concern is flooding. We're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain from these systems. If your area has drainage issues, prepare for standing water. Zone 2, the Carolinas and southern Virginia. The 14th, 15th system is your primary concern. If the GFS track verifies, you are looking at significant snow, especially in the Piedmont and mountains. If the European track verifies, most of it stays in the mountains. Check the National Weather Service forecast for your specific location starting Sunday. By then, they'll have much better data. Winter storm watches will likely go up Monday if this is going to happen. The 18th, 19th system might clip the eastern Carolinas with snow, but the main action is further north with that one. Your bigger issue is the cold air that follows. Overnight lows in the teens and 20s. Protect your pipes. Bring in sensitive plants if you have them. Zone 3, Mid-Atlantic. Maryland, Delaware, Northern Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Saturday the 18th into Sunday the 19th. That's your event. This has the potential to be a significant winter storm for this region. I know there is skepticism. The last few winters Haven T delivered. The models have shown big storms that fizzled. I understand that. But look at the pattern. This isn't a one model run showing something crazy. This is multiple models, multiple runs showing a sustained cold pattern with storm systems in favorable positions. Prepare as if this is happening. If it doesn't, you're prepared for the next one. If it does happen and you are not ready, that is a problem. Specific preparation items. Make sure you have food and water for 3 to 5 days. Not because you'll be snowed in that long. Because supply chains get disrupted. Grocery stores run low after a major storm. It takes a few days to restock. If you take medications, make sure you have enough. Pharmacies might be closed or hard to reach for a couple days. Have a backup heat source if possible. Power outages are likely if we get heavy wet snow. Trees come down. Power lines come down. It takes time to restore service. Zone 4, New England, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Both systems affect you, but the 18th, 19th is the big one. This could be a historic storm for parts of New England if the current model trends hold. The combination of heavy snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding is dangerous. If you live on the coast, watch for coastal flood warnings. Storm surge could be significant with a storm this intense. For interior New England, you might see the highest snowfall totals. The GFS shows some locations getting close to 2 feet from this one system alone. Then lake effect snow adds to it later in the period. If you heat with wood, stock up this weekend. If you have a backup generator, test it now. Make sure it runs. Check your fuel supply. Zone 5, the Ohio Valley. Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, you're in a tricky spot with these systems. Too far west for the coastal storms, too far south for the best lake effect snow. You'll see cold air and some snow, but probably not the big totals. The 14th, 15th system might give western Kentucky and Tennessee some accumulating snow. The 18th, 19th system probably misses you to the east. Your main impact is the cold. Sustained temperatures below freezing for a week or more. That's hard on infrastructure. Water lines freeze, cars don't start, heating bills go up. Zone 6, the Great Lakes and Upper Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northern Illinois, Northern Indiana. Lake effect snow is your story for the second half of January. When you get Arctic air moving over the relatively warm lake waters, you generate tremendous amounts of snow. The models show the lake effect really cranking up around the 21st and 22nd. The typical snowbelt south and east of the lakes could see multiple feet of snow over a 5 to 7 day period. If you live in these areas, you know the drill. But for those who don't deal with lake effect regularly, understand this. It's hyper-local. One town gets 3 feet. The town 5 miles away gets 3 inches. It all depends on the exact wind direction and where the band's set up. Now some practical information that applies to everyone in the cold zones. Frostbite can occur in 30 minutes or less when wind chills are below zero. If you have to be outside, cover all exposed skin. Wear layers, synthetic materials or wool, not cotton. Cotton holds moisture and makes you colder. For your vehicle, make sure you have an emergency kit. Blankets, water, non-perishable food, flashlight, first aid kit, phone charger. If you get stuck in a snowstorm, you might be there for hours before help arrives. Keep your gas tank at least half full. 2 reasons. 1, if you do get stuck, you can run the engine for heat. 2, gas lines can freeze in extreme cold if your tank is low. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors. Many older adults try to tough it out in dangerous conditions. A quick phone call or knock on the door could save a life. For snow removal, pace yourself. Take breaks every 15 to 20 minutes. Drink water even though it's cold. Dehydration happens in winter too. And if you have any heart conditions, seriously consider hiring someone to clear your driveway. Snow shoveling is one of the leading causes of heart attacks during winter storms. Let me address something I've been seeing a lot of questions about. Why does this feel different than past years? It's the pattern persistence. Most winters you get a cold shot for a few days, then it warms back up. This year the pattern is locking in place. That western ridge isn't budging. And as long as it stays there, the eastern trough stays in place too. How long will this last? The extended models suggest at least through the end of January, possibly into early February. That's a long time for a sustained cold pattern. Does this make up for the warm start to winter? In terms of snowfall, possibly. Many areas are running well below normal for the season so far. A couple of major storms plus sustained lake effect could bring totals back to near normal or even above. But one thing to keep in mind, long-range forecasts have uncertainty. The pattern looks favorable now. That could change. I am not saying it will. I am saying it is possible. That is why I update every day. As new data comes in, the forecast evolves. I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below with your location, just your city and state. I read every comment and I pay attention to where viewers are located. If there's enough interest in a specific area, I'll do more detailed coverage for that region. Tomorrow's video will focus on the latest model trends for that 14th, 15th system. We'll have better data by then. The models will have converged or they'll have diverged. Either way, we'll know more. Sunday, I'll have a comprehensive update on the 18th, 19th storm. That's when the short-range models come into play. The NAM, the HRR. Those models are more accurate inside of 72 hours. For official warnings and forecasts, always check weather.gov. That's your National Weather Service local office. They're the ones who issue the watches and warnings. I'm here to help you understand the bigger picture and the model trends, but they're the official source. The pattern is changing. The data supports it. Multiple models, multiple runs, all pointing in the same direction. Prepare appropriately for your location. Don't panic, but don't ignore it either. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow.